This is the foundation of how to run a great practice. And it's the secret, not that secret, but the secret to taking your practice wherever it is and moving it ultimately to where you want to be.
I'm Dr. Rick Steedle with some useful ideas for the successful, not stressful practice.
You can approach your practice in one of two ways. Just take it as it comes and hope for the best, doing as best you can. But this is a conscious decision to say, this is the practice that I want. I'm going to design it that way so that I end up 10 years from now a whole lot closer to where I want to be than if I had just hoped for the best. And I said we're only trying to do four fundamental things. And that is trying to have excellent clinical care, want to have this great customer experience, we want great interpersonal relationships, and we want sound financial management so that this whole enterprise is profitable as a business. And the second thing that we need to be doing is focusing on the right priorities. And the right priorities are the thing that's going to take the practice forward the fastest in this moment. And there are going to be multiple priorities. The way to think about it is if everything else stays the same, what's the one thing that's going to move us forward the fastest? And I called that our next greatest challenge, meaning the practice next greatest challenge is we need to nail this thing. And instead of focusing on 5 things, 10 things, which tends to not get done, is to focus on 2, maybe 3, but ideally 2 things that really will drive the practice forward. Usually one at the front desk and one in the clinical area. Now what we're going to say is what is the strategy to accomplish this next greatest challenge? And the reason we want to do this is because even when things are going well, the world is still changing. And we're going to have to continue to adapt. Evolution is not the survival of the fittest. It's the one that adapts the best to the environment. And so in a practice, in a community of competition, you want to be the one that adapts and survives and ideally thrives. And so what you want to be doing is constantly improving your practice by this process because you're not really trying to compete with your neighbor or your competition. You're competing with yourself to always get better and better. And the worst thing you can do is just go around fixing problems. If you go around fixing problems, you're constantly going to have problems because you haven't gotten to the root source of the problem. Because you're only asking the question, how do we fix it? Generally, that's because the staff is going to come to you for the answer, and you're going to be the one to give the answer, and it's a partial answer. Because problems are the byproducts of your system and execution. Until you fix the system and refine the execution, you're constantly going to be having problems. The thing that we did for 10 years, we just created this patchwork of solutions. And it wasn't integrated, and most of our systems were overly complex. Some of the steps were unnecessary. It just became this hodgepodge of solutions that we made in the past that may not be relevant to the future. We kept putting our finger in the dike, and as soon as we fixed one thing, another one popped up because we hadn't fixed the system. The system will constantly generate the problems. And the second thing was blaming staff. You know, if only my staff would improve, my practice would improve. What we talked about at the end of last time was good people can't be productive with unclear directions, inadequate resources, in a poor system with too little training. And so what the right strategy is, how do we create clear directions, provide adequate resources, develop a great system, give them sufficient training so that we can then execute without making mistakes and be able to solve all the problems. Vision, resources, systems, training, people. These are the steps that you're going to go through on every problem that you see in your office. You're going to craft and communicate the vision. And then you allocate the resources to you and your staff, design a system that will work. And anytime you design a system, it's going to be a change of habit and behavior. You have to execute the training. And when you train, you're going to have to retrain because everybody changes a habit the first time. And then you lead the people. By that, I mean encouragement. You're going to be removing obstacles, and we'll talk about the details of how you do that. If you want to discover more ways to make your practice more successful and less stressful, check out this video right here. I think you'll enjoy it.